Hey folks, welcome back. It's the Big Barn Build, and today I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit of what we've been up to off camera and a bit of a catch up after our break. So stick around and let's have a look. So I'm over on the east side, which is basically the messy bit between all the buildings, and this is where we've been working on some brick and block work in preparation for our actual red bricks. And yesterday we had a good clear up. So we came in with the digger and the dumper as far as we could get it, and we've graded all this off now. So what I wanted to do, this building on the left, the cow shed, I wanted to bring that level down. You can see that dark mark and how high all this soil has been left. I wanted to bring it down. I think that's going to be better for that wall anyway. It will dry up, and in time we might actually put brick slips on that wall to tie it in with both sides anyway. As I kind of mentioned in the last video, we are now pushing on to try and get this corner done because that's the only thing holding up all the brickwork. So this block work we put in a couple of weeks ago, so we're up to the point where we need to start with our bricks. Now that cavity gets filled up with concrete because it's going to be below ground. This also needs to get filled, this wall here, because there's going to be a block and beam section on this wall, because the end of the pool we built this void as a bit of a plant room space. So there'll be block and beam from this wall across to the top of the ICF, and then it's a ground bearing slab either side of the pool. It'll actually sit on the inner leaf anyway. So a lot more open down here because we've knocked out this section of wall. These are retaining walls because it used to be all banked up with stuff here, whereas this was just hollow blocks. So we've taken that out. There's a bit of a slab that was here, so we cut that because that is the part of the chunkier slab and the retaining wall. This was just a kind of fill in. So we've got all these wonky levels, but at least it's open. And then it's been raining today, so we're busy with indoor jobs. Taping, battening, prepping in the kitchen, finish off the boards. Tom's just finished off this OSB. I've been in here decorating, believe it or not. We're just trying to get this plant room sorted, so I've put some 18mm ply up here. I've just chamfered the edges with a router and then undercoat. So undercoat this one, and then they're all going to get painted petrol blue, which is kind of, yeah, dark blue, and then that will be ready for the electrics to be moved in here properly, and also once the plumbing starts, all of that will be ready for the cylinder and other bits and bobs. Right, next morning, second coat on, terrible paint. It's called cupboard and worktop paint. It's whatever they had in Screwfix whenever we bought this. But it is pretty hard wearing, it doesn't come off anything. But, I mean, the coverage of it, you're definitely going to need 3 coats because it's just thin and translucent. And I've stirred it as much as I can, so it's not that, but anyway. It's more blue than it was yesterday. So what we're working on is out the back here because it's holding up everything else. So we've now battened out a lot of the rooms. This door here is now all fitted, so that's the last of the glazing done. I'll just give you a little sneak peek in here, although we're not working on it this week. This is our very first room, which is basically at completion point, ready for plasterboard. Of course, before we do that, we've got to get our insulation specialists to come in and pump all of our stud walls from the inside. So all the sort of holes will be cut in, pumped full of cellulose, then patched, and then we can crack on with the plasterboard. But we don't want to be racing ahead, and we want to stay on, you know, the right stage of each room. We don't want to start boarding one room when another one is not even built yet. So that's just nicely tidied up. And it's on pause, which is great. This room, really similar. Got to a point where we can leave that one. And that's kind of my aim, to work through the rooms, get them to this point. This is the goal, because at this point, they either need first fix plumbing, if they're bathrooms or kitchens, or they will need all their ducting for the ventilation system. And then that is it. That is just ready for boarding. But that can all be done in the middle of winter, in the depths of dark January and February, with heating on, and it'd be lovely. Now we need to push on with outside. Now remember, at this time last year we didn't even have the concrete slab down or any walls up, so we have made progress, a lot of progress. However, we've left one corner, and that's what's slowing us up. We also spent time yesterday shuttering in all of this, getting some steel in there, which is where this sort of raised original ground level will stop ahead of that lower level. And we think we can do most of this with the dumper, so we can get the dumper in and hopefully pour into that cavity. Go up the side, same, because it swivels, we can do that. And all being well, we'll end up with about half a dumper load, which we'll be able to drive close to here, and we'll barrow along, because this one block high cavity here needs to be backfilled with concrete. The ICF, we had all these offcuts, so we've actually decided to use the ICF as a kind of end wall for each end of this underground plant room area, and therefore we've braced it across to this one. We actually originally started cutting holes, so some 4-inch holes. When I spoke to Steve, he said, yeah, just drill through and then the concrete will flow through. But we're not doing this pour at the same time. So instead we've threaded the rebar through that wall just to tie it in here. Same over there, this ties into that wall. So once that's backfilled, it's just going to allow us to fill this here, and it gives it a little bit of strength to this end of the pool. That said, this has been designed in a way that is completely retaining, so it doesn't need anything on the outside of it. Right, the prep work is done. We think we're just about as ready as we can be. We just had a call, which is quite odd for us. The concrete's coming early from Somax today. They said, can we take it now? So that does mean that we may just be the two of us. Hopefully Johnny's going to be able to come down. We're going to use the dumper again, and I know the easy thing to do would be to use a pump, but if we'd done that for all these various pours we've managed with a dumper, it would have been thousands. So, maybe it's a wise decision, maybe it's not, we'll see. Certainly the bigger pours are easy. It's just when we need to fill the ICF, there's going to be quite a lot of lumping around. And of course we'll then have to wheelbarrow across to do this one along. We set up a little platform in there, so we've got a safe place to stand whilst we're shoveling it into the cavity there. In reality, looking at the pump that came to do the floor, it's not like a hose pipe. You're not going to just whiz it along. It's heavy, so you'd need to plan the route. And I think here, I'm not sure you'd very easily be able to kind of fill this 20-metre stretch and then shorten it and then lengthen it again to go up there. Obviously when we do the ICF, we will be using it. It's only a 35-metre run, the one that goes along the ground, so it wouldn't have reached most of this anyway. When it comes to the ICF, we'll park it up the top in the front, by the front door. You can come downhill and it'll be just on the ground. Hopefully this shuttering is going to hold up. These I-joists are so good at holding something straight, so that's going to stop any bow in it. It's not a critical aesthetic anyway, but as long as it stays pretty much plumb, that's all we need. And then as soon as that's gone off tomorrow, we can start backfilling and compacting everything up there. All the dumper concrete we've done so far has been with a small one. We had that 3-ton swivel. This is a different beast, our one. It's 5-ton, and it's, I don't even know how wide that is, over 6 feet wide. So when you actually get up to a cavity, it's going to be quite hard. We really want to keep this front blade or tipping edge really parallel with the cavity, because it all needs to go in at once, otherwise it's going to slosh out of one corner. So we spent a bit of time with the digger just now grading it all out to make sure we're level. I've done a few more dress rehearsals. Good, yeah. Yeah, keep going. So we want to be at top of the slot. Come forward a bit. Yeah. Got that in there. Yeah, just go for it. Put the rest in there then. Sorry, Naomi, go and get the last of it in there. I thought we'd lost it. Alright, yeah. It'll fit in there, it'll be alright. There we go, job done. We gave ourselves a 7 or 8 out of 10 for that. There is a reason why concrete pumps exist. I think we just about scraped by, but it was a slower load than we would have hoped. Don't think we'll get charged the extra, but it was probably a good hour getting all that sorted. That dumper is massive, and manoeuvring that around and getting it to the right place can be a bit tricky, but I think, you know, by the time that front edge was parallel, we ended up scraping more than tipping. But either way, that cavity all the way to the far end, we had to barrow those bits over there. There was a bit of slopping around, but we made it work. So this is the original concrete wall that sat between the steels. This is our new wall, which is below the brickwork. And then because this is potentially going to be below ground, that's backfilled, and we've got a slab the other side. So that's the only reason why that had to be done. Same up there, you can see that's only 1 or 2 blocks high, but because it's going to be below ground, it's just to stop them collapsing. So all good. Started stacking out the bricks and blocks already. So tomorrow we're on the trowels and we're going to be laying our wall brick and block, same as what we've been doing, well, for the last year. We did end up with a little bit more than we thought as far as concrete goes. The good thing is this shuttering held up. That is a lot of weight and pressure on that. So well done, Tom, for your engineering. It's bulged a little bit. None of it's going to be seen, but that is, it's got rebar in, all tying it into the slab, and some mesh. And now it means that all this backfill can be nicely compacted, and that's all ready for kind of landscaping in the future. Right, well, one day on now, another productive morning. Concrete was in yesterday, and now we've got all of our bricks and blocks up to DPC, so it runs all the way through the same height as everything else, which means it's all set for timber frame. And while it's only been 24 hours, we're kind of taking off some of the formwork and tidying up the concrete that was poured yesterday, so fingers crossed it stays put. Then we'll put a level on it, see how straight it is.
Yeah. I undid that side and the whole thing went.
Oh, what, the timber?
Got a lot of force on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, see how that's pushed out with the glue lamb was holding it straight.
That's amazing. So that glue lamb was doing quite a bit of work. So we didn't really show it, but yesterday we didn't have a poker because it's not really as vital as when we do the ICF and things like that. But we didn't have the vibrating poker to go in the actual concrete, but Tom used the SDS against it, and it was amazing. The fresh concrete, at least, when you rattled away on this, how much it settled. So it should be okay against the face. This corner here is going to finish just before this ICF because that's where the block and beam starts. So we'll be able to do a little bit there, a little nib the other side, but hopefully this is all good enough now that we can sit our sole plate on there. What we probably end up doing now, if we can do it without damaging these, is start removing the old boards and beams above. If we feel like we're going to knock these around too much, then we might have to hold off on that. Well, there we go. What a week, and somewhat a bit of a eclectic mix of a video, I'm afraid. But now you are officially caught up. You've seen what we've been up to either side of our short break away. We've got everything we need done now in this corner to be able to start that wall over there and push on and get this blooming pool plumbing sorted. Just, yeah, one of those things that we're just gonna have to get it done so we can backfill that, push on and get these beams in. And then I promise you, the pool project will be parked. I'll give you a little walk around just to show you everything that's been finished off now. Now we've taken all the shuttering away because it's looking quite tidy. But now what we've ended up with is this really nice, chunky supporting wall. We didn't have to lay a single block. And I just think the amount of blocks that would have gone into this, it would have had to be, I think you're a third the depth for the height for a average for a retaining wall. So it would have been over a block deep, probably, you know, 100 plus blocks in there, plus all the mortar and the laying. So that old bit of plywood, bit of kind of engineering to get it reinforced. We had a load of rebar and mesh left over from the floor. That's in there. It's the same structural spec as we did for the retaining wall over there, so we know it was right. So that is in place. It's all good, and we can now, well, we'll work through a design for this area and share it with you in the future, but it's got a little bit of a raised walkway along here at regular height, but then this sunken area. More on that to come. But now that's all taken off, it's pretty clean actually. That SDS worked nicely. I don't think there's any, well, there's certainly no kind of big gaps or voids. That's nice and smooth. This is all filled in, that's all filled in, the bunker is done. And then today we've had a good session getting all this done over here. So it's been through several different versions, this corner, because we've been rethinking and redesigning it as we go. But now we are at a point where red brick is sitting out on this course here. The timber frame is sitting up here. We've got our cavity, our sort of air gap between the two. It'll look the same as up here. So we've taken off all the boards, just denailed these so that they can be salvaged and stacked and reused. And next week we'll go ahead and take out the purlin at the top there, the rail in the middle, clean up the steels, paint those, and then we can just push on, and it'll probably take us a day to frame in all of this, just one continuous wall. All I need to do is get some of the vent board for the outside, which is normally a special order. So we'll get that on there, and then we can carry that membrane all the way along. So hopefully that brings you up to speed with everything we've been up to. Tomorrow, Joe and I are gonna have a good session down on the track. That'll be in the next video as well. So over the last month or two, we've been working on that track that goes all the way along the field. But obviously taking time away from the build is quite tricky. But tomorrow we do have a clear day, so we're going to get down there. We've only got the small digger, but we've got the big dumper, and we should be able to clear about half of that track. And then later on in the month, I'm going to be hiring out a bigger machine, and we'll get the track laid and rolled, and it'll all be good and usable for the winter. So keep an eye out for that video. It'll be coming at the weekend, and we'll leave it there. Thank you as always to all these people on the screen now who support us over on Patreon. If you want to see our bonus videos and behind the scenes content, you can do that over on Patreon. I'll leave a link down in the description. But thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.